Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Our top story tonight comes out of Chicago, where activists and community leaders are raising their voices in opposition to the recent expansion of federal law enforcement presence in the city. Over the past several days, tensions have grown following the federal government's decision to deploy additional agents to Chicago under the stated goal of combating violent crime. Officials in Washington argue that the move is necessary to curb rising gun violence, but many in the city see it differently. Local organizers, activists, and some elected leaders insist the federal presence represents an unwanted show of force, one that threatens to escalate conflict rather than solve it. On the streets, we've seen large demonstrations, with activists chanting and carrying signs calling for resources to be directed into schools, jobs, and healthcare instead of more policing. They argue that systemic inequalities, not simply a lack of law enforcement, are at the root of violence in the city. Many residents fear that the arrival of federal agents will lead to more aggressive tactics, surveillance, and clashes that could put vulnerable communities at greater risk. City officials have walked a careful line. The mayor's office has expressed concern about federal intervention but emphasized the importance of addressing gun violence. Critics, however, remain steadfast in warning that federal involvement undermines local control and disregards the voices of Chicagoans who have been working toward community-based solutions. Speakers at rallies this week have highlighted the history of strained relationships between law enforcement and Black and Latino communities in Chicago. They stress that deploying federal agents does little to rebuild trust or address decades of disinvestment in neighborhoods most affected by crime. Instead, they argue, funds should go toward mental health services, youth programs, and affordable housing. Investments they say will provide real pathways to safety and stability. Across the city, the mood is one of defiance and determination. Organizers are calling this a pivotal moment, warning that Chicago must resist what they describe as a dangerous precedent of federal intrusion into local affairs. At the same time, they are mobilizing to ensure that protests remain peaceful and that their message, that community solutions, not outside intervention, will bring lasting change, continues to resonate. This is not just a Chicago story. Activists note that similar deployments have happened in other cities, sparking a national debate about the balance between public safety, federal authority, and local self-determination. For now, Chicago finds itself at the center of that debate, with activists promising that their pushback is far from over. That's the latest on the situation. We'll continue to follow how these tensions play out on the ground and in the halls of government in the days ahead.